In this video, we are going to talk about being a high-performance individual. What are some of the keys to actually achieving this? And for that purpose, my friend and CEO of Pieces on Paper and inventor of the so-called Mindsheet method, Jonas Hansen, is with me here on Skype from downtown LA, right?
Yes, correct.
All right, welcome on Spiritual Capitalism, Jonas. And I know you can't see it, but I hope you can keep warm because you're sitting in the middle of the fireplace. So, right, but let's talk high performance. Now, there's like a lot of talk, always, constantly in the self-help industry about becoming a high performance individual. And when you and I ran into each other, I realized that you've been studying this topic for years.
Yeah, reading a lot of different kind of books. Some of them good, and some of them, I guess, not that good. It all depends on what you're kind of like. I think we both like guys like Dan Pena, maybe Gary Vaynerchuk, but mostly Dan Pena, I would say, probably, right?
Why is he better than so many others? I don't know. Just for the record, for people who might not know who he is a very blunt and direct person who pretty much starts out any social interaction by calling people cunts, right?
Cunt or snowflake, pretty much.
You are snowflakes.
Cunts.
Yeah. People don't realize. That's why I killed an elephant.
Yeah, and he has this castle in Scotland where you can go. Do you remember how much it cost? $20,000?
I believe it's 25.
Yeah, 25. Oh, okay. Then it's more expensive than when I found it. I think it was 10 or 15.
Right. You should have gone.
Yeah, I should have gone. I was so close to it, actually. And then I decided to move to the US instead because I'm from Denmark, yeah.
Right. We both are, and I guess that's why we know each other. But that's a side story. Let's talk. Okay, so you've been studying all these high-performance theories, I guess. So let's hear what is one of your least favorite ones?
I have a hard time that you need to have a morning routine, or at least a very long one, all that information and stuff like that. Of course, but it's okay to have it. But if you do, then decide on something very short. I've been reading about some guys and they have like 2-3 hours until they can get to work.
2-3 hours of morning routines.
Exactly.
So how's that justified? What's supposed to be the purpose of that?
It's because then you get in kind of a zen moment, I think. So you're ready for the day and ready to kill it.
Right.
But you could be readier sooner if you want to. You can drink a coffee or go for a run and then drink a coffee or take a shower. I think it's pretty easy. I think it's about a mindset. So if you just say to yourself, and that is kind of affirmation, say to yourself, I want to be ready. After this coffee, I'm going to crush it.
I'm gonna crush it. Yeah. Right. So this is interesting. I was you know Andreas that I interviewed recently on the actor Andreas Lyon. So he was talking about this concept of self-ignition. I guess when he used to work as a salesman years back, but he had a boss who told him the number one skill you need as a salesman is to be able to self-ignite. I realize I'm saying this sitting in the fireplace, so that's absurd. but other than that, but I was just talking to my wife about that actually. Instead, I don't believe in that. I think you can. I think it's a very valuable skill to have, and sometimes you are in a situation where you spontaneously have to be able to self-ignite.
What is the definition? What is the definition?
I guess it's just to fire yourself up, to motivate yourself to perform right now. But I think that's what he was talking about. But what I like to think is that you cannot rely on that, because if you have to do that from scratch every single day, you're basically starting at the same. Yeah, you're starting from zero every single day. I think it's much better and much easier. I think it's much more sustainable to have some sort of system that you follow. Yeah, so you're going to put in the hours whether you're fired up or not. Or
I think that is very key. And the reason why it's important, which a lot of people forget, is sometimes when we wake up, maybe you are one of the lucky guys who just wakes up and you just run with it. But I can wake up feeling kind of depressed. Or I don't really want to call anyone today and stuff like that.
Right.
And the thing that helps me the most is just having a clear routine. I'm going to call 20 no matter if I want it or not.
Right.
It's more fun on the days I want to, but it's actually, I love it more the days when I don't want to. Because then it's, but that's only if you love
it more. So you find
in
motivation
the end of the day, I love it more. I do, because then I like fought against myself, my own will, it's kind of. So, and I think that's the problem. If you think you need to be fired up, or I don't know. I think it's hard. Yeah, you need some kind of system and make it as. My problem is I always end up building these crazy systems. So like 4 hours morning routines, and then I need to drink my coffee at 10, and you need something very simple, I think.
Right.
Like drink a coffee, call 10 people.
Right.
Something very, very simple.
Hey, so let's dive into this. Obviously I know what you're talking about, but why you calling?
It doesn't matter being calling. It could also be write 10 pages if you're author.
Right.
When I say calling, when I say calling, it's because pieces on paper. I have to call retail to get into retail, and the only way to do it is just picking up the phone. And it's because of Dan Pena, because he say that's the one of the most powerful tools we still have is the phone. And I used to think, no, he's not right, because we also have content and stuff like that, and that's also good. But what I realized is most people will never call anyone.
Right.
So you get an advantage if you actually are the person who just keep calling someone. It can be an investor. How will you get an investor like writing a blog post? They don't give a shit about your blog post, but they do. Right. Most of the time, they don't give a shit.
Right, that is true. Yeah.
You need to write then maybe 1,000 blog posts or 100, and I still think content is a great tool. That's also why I started. I also have a podcast now for the same reason, and I think that's very helpful. And you know too, because you have spiritual capitalism.
Right. Right. It is helpful. I'm sure it's helpful, but I think it's a good point, and I think it's a point that many people miss in this day and age. That if you pick up the phone and you call people or just get in their faces, right?
Yeah.
And
most people will actually not tell you no. That's actually so funny, because what I was thinking before I called was, then you're gonna say to me, no, I don't want to talk to you. But I have one. I'm still trying to get in a shop here in Los Angeles.
Right.
And I've been calling her 7 or 8 times, and I still haven't reached her. And I've sent her 4 or 5 emails.
Right.
But the important part is she never told me no. So until I get that no, I'm allowed to keep calling her.
Right.
So she's kind of like a big goal right now. It's not a big client, but it's just like if I can get her at least, then I have proved something to myself.
She's becoming a symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because of course I want to get into all the big retailers like Target, Walmart, and stuff like that.
Right. Cool. I like the fact that you're touching on so many things that are right up my alley. Right. So, but let's return to this. So how does this tie in with high performance? So let's just for the record, let's just tell people what the company you run is doing. What is Pieces on Paper, or as I sometimes like to call it, Piss on Paper?
Piss on Paper. We sell prints with designs, mostly neighborhoods and also city maps and state maps.
Right.
But designed in a minimalistic Scandinavian way, because we are from Scandinavia.
Right.
And they're 11 by 17, which makes them a little too big for a lot of stores, and that's kind of a problem. So we actually now...
That's an exciting challenge, right?
It's an exciting challenge, but also like we just need to have something a little smaller, because then it could be easier to get in everywhere, in more places.
Right.
So where I use high performance, I used to just think I needed to create a lot of content and do stuff, but I was more focused on creating like one content, and then that will go like viral.
Right.
And like
you're chasing the unicorn.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's very hard to make something go viral.
Right.
And
it's hard to do it, and it's even harder to plan it.
Yeah, exactly. And probably the best way to do it is to create a lot. A lot of good content.
It's a numbers game. I did a video actually on this channel a while back where I was talking about, I looked at like various successful people through the ages. It was almost like a historical analysis. So whether it was Beethoven, Mozart, Lady Gaga, and a lot of the entrepreneurs, right? What they had one thing in common. I didn't even realize. So Beethoven, apparently he wrote like 240 symphonies. Most of them are completely unknown because they're shit. Right? But
so you just forget about them. That's the funny thing, because we're so scared of creating shitty content.
Right.
But
exactly. Yeah. Which to some extent might be a good thing. But you're right though. If I use my other channel, In It for the Money, as an example, I have 2 videos with about 250,000 views. But if I had looked objectively at all these videos and tried to guess which of these videos has 250,000 views, I wouldn't have chosen those 2. Those aren't the videos that are the highest quality or that I'm the most proud of. Those just happen to be what got people fired up at the time,
that's the point. It's so hard to predict what people really want.
It's so hard that you might as well not try, right?
Yeah, and just create good content that you like and that you think maybe you can create content you think people would like, of course. But back to high performance, the way I use it is I break it down in right now. Like the new way I started thinking about my business was, what can I do? Like after I saw Dan Pena, I thought to myself, what can I do to get people? Can I call them? I can email them. I can write to influencers. It's all those things are something that I can do with hard work.
Right.
But of course, also if you want to create great content, it's also hard work. But it's very important. The most high performance you can do is probably working a lot of hours and do a lot of work. That's the single most important. And normally when you read a lot of the high performance stuff, it's more over in the what do they call it, like smart hacks, like
smart
work
life
smart,
hacks, biohacks,
and
right.
And I try to do that, so I find all the people I'm gonna call. I try to find them on Saturday and Sunday because I can't call them in the weekend, and then I can call them on Monday. That will make me more productive, but that doesn't mean I don't need to call from Monday to Friday like for a long time, because I know if I don't do it, I'm going to be less successful because it's just a numbers game. Today I was writing. It's actually a day off today in the US, like kind of.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's
you
another
didn't
thing.
know?
Like, you and I don't even notice that kind of stuff.
No.
Oh, it's weekend. So how's your weekend? I get a text. I'm saying, how's your weekend? I'm like, I don't know. Is it now? Or what are you talking about? Like last week? You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then I realized, okay, it's not the best day to call, but now I'm just today texting influencers.
Or maybe it is the very best day to call.
You can probably, you can actually, maybe it is. Maybe I should go all into the phone again when I'm done with this. That is true. It could be.
It could be, yeah.
I think, like, if you want to be high performance, the first step is, like, make some very simple system. I think you should have some kind of morning routine, but I would make it very simple.
Right.
So 30 minutes, tops like 1 hour. I will say mine is actually a little longer, actually, because it's not at the moment, but I used to go down and work out because I like doing it. So, of course, if there's something that you feel makes you pump with energy, do that. Don't read about other people doing yoga if you hate yoga.
Right, but there's another aspect of this that I think I want to dig a little deeper into this, because if you have a morning routine, whatever it is, but if the purpose of that routine is to get you pumped, get you fired up, ready to go, sometimes that just doesn't happen.
Yes.
You do your routine, but it doesn't have the anticipated effect. Then
so I will agree.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I think you need a very strong mindset for that, because I used to. At one point, I was like, I will need to get up early. I think it was 4 a.m., which I haven't been done for the last 30 days, I can see, because I have an app which tracks it. So I've actually been failing for the last 30 days if you only look at that. And in the old days, I will be like, then I can't work because I didn't get up at 4 a.m.
Right. It's all
But it's
ruined.
important to always know your morning routine is only to get you pumped, but it's the most optimal to get you pumped. You should, but even if you don't do it, you should just go to the next step, which is your to-do list. So if you got up late couldn't go for the workout, it doesn't matter. The way you need to think about it, at least I think about it, is I will do it tomorrow. Now I will go to work and I will do the other thing tomorrow.
Right.
But I what do you think is the best way to get into that mindset? Because I think I got into that mindset watching Dan Pena, because every time I feel not doing anything, I just think I'm such a cunt.
Wake up, cunt. Right. Stop being a damn cunt. Right.
And that actually works so well for me, but I don't know. I think it will work for most people. At least it doesn't have to be the word cunt. It could be another phrase for you.
Right. Well, right. But I think I think I'm returning to my previous point on this, that there's no firing yourself up. You know, I listen to music while I work, like symphonic, inspiring music. Sometimes other genres too, but most of it just that gets me fired up. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't work. You know, and sometimes I'm just not fired up. But then I just take my to-do list and work on the items on the damn to-do list.
Exactly.
Okay, but
another point I would like to make actually with that is, of course, like that of course what works for me is also the mind cheat method. I'm gonna talk about it another time, but it pretty much is that every time you want to procrastinate with something that's not on your to-do list, write it down. That's maybe simple put, but write it down, because if you're not fired up and sometimes you don't want to work on to-do list, just sit there and stare into like nothing for a few minutes. Of course, you shouldn't do this for 2 hours, but the way most people work, if you're not very depressed, is that you will sit and then you're like, oh, I need to do something because this is boring. When we procrastinate, I think it's because we don't want to get bored, so we look at our phone. So now I'm on Facebook or Instagram. Right. But I just write it down. Oh, I want to go on Instagram on Saturday.
Right.
And that works pretty well. But we can go into, I think we'll make a podcast about what that system is on another time.
Right.
For now, just write everything down you want to procrastinate. And instead of not work, if you don't want to work on your to-do list this moment, just sit for a few seconds. Don't listen to a podcast. Don't do anything, actually, I will say. Right. I used to go for a walk, and that's also terrible advice, because if you do that, suddenly that walk can be 2 hours long.
Right, if you don't feel like returning to
if you don't
work,
feel like returning,
just
exactly.
Keep walking, right?
Yeah. So I think you should learn. It's weird, but you kind of need to write your to-do list. Maybe I will even put, if you want something to say to yourself, I will put, this to-do list is to make my life better.
Right. So you're saying that's the purpose? That should be the purpose?
That should be the purpose of the to-do list. That's why you're making it. You don't make it to, because a lot of the time, some people, you can actually almost fear your own to-do list. Don't you know that feeling?
Maybe.
Maybe more in the old days, because now I actually think, no, this is the long term, and I want to do it, because I don't want to,
you know what? I've actually started looking at my to-do list as as something that I can, at some point, I can simply just take it and publish it, just like that, because it's ever growing, you know. So at some point it'll be 100 pages, and I can it could be my second book.
It's just your book. That could be such a cool book. Just like
things I never did, but really have to.
It is true. It is true.
That's a joke, of course, but right. All right, Jonas, thanks a lot for jumping on this call, and we'll talk to you soon, and always enjoy talking to you. And for those
you too,
who
man.
wants to follow you, should they go to Pieces on Paper, or should they, where should they go?
Actually, right now, I'll prefer to just go to my Instagram at Jonas Hansen.
Right, we'll place a link
because I will put all my content there in the next couple of weeks.
All right, excellent. Nice talking to you, and see you soon.
Yeah, see you. Bye.
And thanks for watching, guys.